Hey guys, welcome back to another video where we will be looking at AgilePoint connector for Amazon S3. Amazon S3 or Amazon Simple Storage Service is a cloud storage service offered by AWS. It provides a scalable, durable, and a highly available object storage service that can be used to store any type of data, including website files, data lakes, mobile applications, and backup and restore data. AgilePoint NX always had support for uploading and downloading files from process and forms. With this connector, we are enabling activities to perform management operations against Amazon S3 buckets. Let's look at this in action. So I'm in my AgilePoint portal, and the first thing we are going to do is to create an access token to connect to Amazon S3. I'm going to create a global level access token. In order to do that, I'm going to go to Manage, App Builder, Global Access Token. I already have created an access token for AWS. However, I'm going to show you how to create it from scratch. So we are going to click on Add Token. We'll select AWS from the list. Click Next. Give it a name. Now, it is going to ask me whether I want to create an access token using long-term access key, which is the preferred option, or a temporary credential IAM role. You can refer to AWS documentation on how to get the value for a temporary credential IAM role. I'm going to use long-term access key for now. So it is asking me to enter access key ID and secret access key. We are going to switch to AWS screen over here, and I'm going to go to AWS console and type user. Drill down to users. I'm going to select the user for which I want to create the access key, and then click on security credentials. Scroll down. You can create an access key by clicking this button. I have already created one, so I'm going to copy this, paste it over here. Next, it is going to ask me for the secret key. Now, when I create an access key, it generates a secret key. I've already done that, as I mentioned, which I'm going to copy from one of my notepads over here and paste it. Next, it is going to ask me to select a region. In my case, it is US East, North Virginia. So I'm going to select that and click Test Connection. And it tells me the connection is successful. I can go ahead and click Save. However, since I've already created the token, I'm going to cancel this out. Now, the next step would be to go to App Builder. I'm going to go ahead and click on All Apps. I'm going to look for an app called Amazon S3, which I've already created. I'll open the process model. What you will notice is there is an activity group now dedicated to Amazon S3 management operations. There are 15 activities which are available under this activity group. We are going to see configuration of them one by one. So I've created a sample process over here where I submit a form. I capture the bucket name and the folder name, which will be created through the activity. So the first activity is create bucket. Give it a nice looking name. Connect to Amazon S3 using the access token which has been created, and provide the variable which holds the name of the bucket which has to be created. I mapped it to one of my form elements over here. Next, we are going to create folder. Again, give it a name. Connect to Amazon S3 using the access token we created. Now, we can either choose to pick a predefined folder path, which will be the bucket, or we can provide a bucket name over here in the dynamic folder path. We are going to create our folder under the bucket we recently created. Specify the folder name, and in return, in the response, you'll get the folder path which has been created, which we'll be storing in this process variable. We are going to next have a form where we are going to use the file upload control to upload a file to this particular bucket. This functionality already existed before V9. And we are going to generate a pre-signed URL for this file. So the next activity is generate pre-signed URL. Specify the access token. You can either choose the file path from the file explorer over here, but most often you would have a dynamic file path from the previous step. So I'm going to say dynamic file path. If you remember, I captured that. And I can capture the expiration time. So I say it expires in X number of days. The X variable would be coming from my form, and the generated pre-signed URL is stored in a process variable. It will be sent back in the response, which I'll store it in this process variable. Next step, I'm going to show you the generated pre-signed URL, and then we are going to find the file information about the file which we uploaded to Amazon S3 in one of the previous steps. So in this step, you can get additional file information, connect to Amazon S3, again either specify or choose the file path, or you can provide the dynamic file path. In this demo, we are going to continue using the dynamic file path. And then whatever is the response which is sent back by Amazon S3, you can map it to your process variables. Things like S3 URI, entity tags, size, file type, version ID, and last modified date. We'll have a next form where I will show you this information. Then we will start setting the metadata. So the next activity will specify some file metadata, additional properties which need to be set for the file which we have uploaded. Connect to Amazon S3, specify the dynamic file path. In the set metadata tab, you can specify a key value pair. These key value pairs are coming from my form. In this case, you could have hard coded the keys as well, but in my case, I'm keeping both the keys and values dynamic. Next activity would be get metadata. Previous activity, we set those information. You can read a metadata of a file as well. The same way, you can connect to Amazon S3, specify the dynamic file path, and whatever information you wanted to read back, you can actually specify the key value pair. We'll display it on the form. Next, we are going to set the bucket access control list. So Amazon S3 buckets have a concept of access control. You can set up permissions. So the way we are going to do it is going to have a set bucket ACL activity, connect to Amazon S3, specify the bucket on which you want to set the permission, and then you can specify what kind of permission do you want to set. So you can always add a new row. There are various grantee types which are available: everyone, authenticated users, and log delivery. These are the ones which are available in Amazon S3, and you can specify what kind of permissions they would have. It can be a list permission, it can be an upload or delete permission. You can specify that people belonging to this group can view the bucket or edit bucket properties. So you can specify that. Similarly, you are going to set file level ACL. So previously we set up for bucket. Now for individual file, you can specify the file path, and again for permission, you can specify the grantee type, which could be everyone, authenticated users, or log delivery group. And then you can specify what kind of operation person belonging to this role or group can perform in this file, whether they can open or download a file, they can view permissions of the file, or they can edit permissions of the file. Next, we are going to get file ACL. So previous step, we set the file ACL. In this step, we are going to read the permissions of a file. We will specify the file path, bring up the schema mapper, and we can map. On the left hand side, what you see is the Amazon response format, and on the right hand side is my AgilePoint process and form schema. You can specify the display name of the owner, ID of the owner, grantee information, and things like permission values. Similarly, you can go read the permissions of a bucket as well. So get bucket ACL activity lets you do that. You can connect to Amazon S3, specify the bucket name, and then just map the response, same way we would it for file ACL activity. We're going to show the results of both the file as well as bucket ACL, which have been retrieved from Amazon S3 on a form. And then we will start removing the permissions. So next activity would be remove file ACL. Going to connect to Amazon S3, specify the file path of the file which we need to remove permission for. Go to remove permission. Again, select the grantee type and what permission you want to remove. So in this case, I'm going to remove the open download permission from the log delivery role. I put a timer so that you can follow the demo along, and then I'm going to remove the permission from a bucket. In this case, I'm going to Do the same thing, connect to Amazon S3, provide the bucket name and which grantee types permission I need to remove. I will add a row for that and what kind of permission I want to remove. So in this case, I'm going to only remove the log delivery group view permission. Next, we are going to start cleaning up. We are going to delete the file which has been uploaded. This would be done using delete file activity. We're going to connect to Amazon S3, specify the file path. I put a timer so that you guys can follow along and see the file was deleted before the folder is deleted. And then go and connect to delete folder, connect to Amazon S3 and specify my folder path in this case. And lastly, we are going to delete the Amazon S3 bucket itself. Again, connect to Amazon S3, specify the bucket name which needs to be deleted, and that would be deleted. In this case, bucket needs to be empty before you can delete it. The warning has been put over there. So I have published this application out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Work Center, My Apps, Amazon S3 demo application. I'm going to bring up the form. I'm going to give a bucket name which I want to create. I'm going to call it V9 demo, and I'll create a folder called V9 demo folder and click submit. Now what this has done is it has gone ahead and kicked off a process. If I go to processes, bring up the process viewer, I can see there is a process which is running. I'm going to open it in a new tab. So through the process, I've already created a bucket and a folder under that bucket. So if we switch back to the other window over here and search for S3, I'm going to drill down into Amazon S3. So as you can see, there is a new bucket called V9 demo. And if I drill down, under that, there is a folder called V9 demo folder. Let's go back to our process model. Now, for the sake of demo, I have made myself participant of each activity so that I don't have to log in and log out. So I'm going to drill down into this, open the form. As you can see, the bucket name is V9 demo, and I'm going to go ahead and upload a file. And I'm going to specify that this expires in 1 day. I'm going to go ahead and submit it. Before that, you can see this is the file path URL. And I'm going to go ahead and click submit. So a pre-signed URL has been generated. If I drill down into the next activity, open the form, you can see the pre-signed URL over here. I'm going to go ahead and move the process forward. So next, it has gone ahead and retrieved file information, which we are going to show on a form. So I'm going to open that form. And what you can see is the file path, S3 URI, entity tag, file type, file size, last modified date have all been retrieved from Amazon S3. So I'm going to go ahead and submit it to move the process forward. Next, it is asking me to set up metadata properties for this particular file. So I'm going to open a form. I'm going to specify some metadata for this. I'm going to say Steve Smith is the name, age is 34. We can say email is this and department is sales. And I'm going to go ahead and click submit. So as soon as I submitted the form, it went ahead and set the metadata of that file. As the next step, I will already retrieve metadata of the file, which I will show on the next form. But before that, I'm going to show you that the metadata has been successfully set. So I'm going to go drill down into the folder. I have the file over here. If I scroll down, I can see the metadata department, age, name, and email has been set on the file. Okay, so as I mentioned, it went ahead and read the metadata of the file, which I'm going to display on this form. And as you can see, all the information got retrieved using the previous activity, which is get metadata. I'm going to go ahead and click submit to move the process forward. So the next four activities are dealing with access control list. So you can see it said bucket ACL has already executed. So I'm going to go back to Amazon. And if we go to bucket, permissions, and if we scroll down, we can see S3 log delivery group has read permission now on the bucket itself. And in the meantime, it has already executed set file ACL as well. So if I go back to the file, go to permissions, you can see Amazon S3 log delivery group has read permission and authenticated users have read write permission on this particular file. Now, if we go back to our process viewer, in the meantime, get file ACL and get bucket ACL activities have executed. We're going to show the results on a form. So I'm going to open the task. And over here, if you see, the first section is showing me the bucket ACL information, the grantee type, which is the group. In this case, authenticated users and what kind of permission they have, and log delivery users, what kind of permission they have. And similarly, I do the same for the file. I'm going to go ahead and click submit. Now, as the next step, we are going to start removing permissions for the file. So if we go back to Amazon S3 and click refresh, you can see that the permission for log delivery group has been taken away. Similarly, now we are going to look at remove bucket ACL activity. So we are going to go back to our bucket permissions. If we scroll down, permission for log delivery group has been taken away as well from here. Now the next activity, it went ahead and deleted the file. So if we go back, go to buckets, V9 demo. If you drill down, the file has been deleted. If you go back to Amazon S3 under V9 demo, now there is no folder. If I do refresh, there's no folder which is getting listed over here. And lastly, it is going to delete the bucket itself. If we go back and click refresh, the bucket itself is not found anymore. So with this, we come to the end of this demo video. Using this new connector, you can manage the bucket operations against Amazon S3. Thanks a lot for your time.